Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Why are female characters still misrepresented in film, and what effect does that have on women and girls? How the vuvuzela is being used to protect women in South Africa. The story of a 12-year-old who lied about being attacked because of her hair. And it's that time of year again. Fat Bear Week 2019 begins. And top of our newsfeed, women in film. A revealing study from Plan International and the Gina Davis Institute on Gender in Media shows that even today, despite decades of discussion about female representation in films, the industry is still failing. Cinema is still, as highlighted in a seminal essay from 1975, subjected to the male gaze. Here's Ezra.
Women in film. Iconic images, historic moments, parts of our collective cultural heritage. These influential, unforgettable characters, all from movies directed by men. A new study called Rewrite Her Story by Women at Risk International reveals the problematic ways women are represented in cinema. They look at 56 movies from 2018 from all over the world and found women were 4 times more likely than men to be shown in revealing clothing, almost twice as likely to be shown partially nude, and 4 times more likely to be shown completely naked. In whatever context a woman is shown, be it at work, in the community or in the family, male leaders are much more visible. Overall, 42% of male compared to 27% of female characters are shown on screen as leaders. And some of the reasons for this can be seen in the data of who is making movies. 1 in 4 had a woman producer, just 1 in 10 had a woman on the writing team, and none had a woman director. The legacy of this failure by the film industry affects women and society more generally in hugely damaging ways.
When I sit on a TV and watch that, then I think it impacts me negatively.
What a person sees consistently influence what the person believes.
All the things that person sees, especially if they are from marginalised communities, can affect generations. The study has a number of recommendations. Chief among them, make films which normalise female leadership, stop objectifying and sexualising women on screen, and fund more female filmmakers. These are some good examples of strong female representation in film, in both big budget and indie cinema. Think the female characters from Black Panther on one end.
The real question is, what are those? Why do you have your toes out in my lap?
And the mother and daughter relationship in Lady Bird. But sadly, these are the exceptions. Until characterization like this are the rule, many will say film is still failing women.
Well, Maria Flood teaches film at Keele University in the UK. We had a conversation earlier about that study. Here are some of her thoughts.
Well-worn set of stereotypes and cliches both about women and people of colour in Hollywood movies. And I do think that audiences are getting quite tired, particularly younger audiences who maybe don't even go to the cinema. They're watching things on Netflix or Amazon Prime or YouTube, and they're watching stories that are made by women, by gay people, by people of colour, that have really diverse casts and characters, and then they go to Hollywood and it's the same tired thing. I mean, I went to see Ad Astra recently, and I just thought, you know, another white man with daddy issues. If you're going to tell that story, you better tell it really well, because it's been told a lot and people are a little bit, you know, tired of it. Yeah, and I think, I think audiences are just tired of seeing themselves, whether, as a woman or a black person, just seeing yourself as the kind of backdrop to the more important storyline involving usually a white male character. There's also an element of realism in it, as you said. I watched Jurassic World recently. I think it's 2016, and the woman in that film spends the 2 hours running around in 6 centimeters stilettos. And there's just no need for it. We want to see our real experiences reflected on the screen. And I do think that is happening. If you take Lady Bird by Greta Gerwig, I think that's a film that a lot of female audiences were really able to identify with, and it's directed and scripted by a woman. Go back to Jurassic Park. When you look at Jurassic Park from 1993, the woman in that film wore Timberland boots for the entirety. The female teenager was, a computer programmer. So in some ways, we've actually gone backwards in popular Hollywood film, which is a bit troubling. And what you notice with female directors, it's a different style of filming the body. So we don't get the kind of overt sexualization, the lingering gaze. We get something that's much more touch orientated, that's more emotionally orientated. But I do think probably the best female filmmaking is coming out of independent cinema and European and world cinema as well. Hollywood still really has to catch up in that sense. So the Bechdel test, essentially, as far as I remember, is that in a film you have two female characters in a scene talking to each other about something that doesn't involve men. But I think it's an absolutely brilliant way to think about what you're doing as a writer, because it's actually still surprising how few films don't have two strong or lead female characters talking about something other than men.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media. Well, this was The Hague in the Netherlands earlier today. Hundreds of Dutch farmers on their tractors protesting. They're calling for greater respect for their industry, and they say they're not the polluting animal abusers some people say they are. Video of this cart out of control at Chicago Airport has been watched at least 7 million times. Apparently, a case of water bottles fell onto the accelerator and, well, you can see the result. Big props to the dude on the forklift who comes in and crashes the thing. Now, this would have been funny and fun if it wasn't so dangerous. And this picture of the actors in a crossover episode of a new show has fans smiling. It shows the new Superman in a show called Crisis on Infinite Earths and the actor who played Superman in Smallville, Tom Welling. Now next, the murder of women in South Africa is reaching epidemic proportions. The president has spoken out condemning the situation. Police officers are out and about, but some say they're ineffective, so local groups have started their own patrols in some areas of the country.
The Vuvuzela defined the 2010 Football World Cup in South Africa, with its loud, buzzing sound drumming up fan support in filled stadiums. Now this long plastic trumpet is serving a different purpose: protecting women. Women like Zanele Tusi, who lives in the country's largest township, Soweto. She heads to work very early in the morning, and when she hears the vuvuzelas, she knows a local patrol group is ready to safely escort her to public transport.
I feel like very happy, because no one to be coming and take my phone and take my bag, Yeah, I'm very, very happy.
The patrol group is made up of men who voluntarily escort women and children to public transport hubs. Last month, President Cyril Ramaphosa admitted the country is facing a national crisis of violence against women.
Women are dying with protection orders in their homes, and we therefore need to pay attention to all this.
Stop raping us!
A woman is murdered in South Africa every 3 hours, and many are assaulted and raped before their death. This is more than 5 times higher than the global average, according to the World Health Organization.
In terms of perpetuating violence against women, it's become a norm. It's our culture. Rape jokes are on the normality. Protecting perpetrators. Rape apologists are there.
Soweto is one of the top 10 crime hotspots in the country, and residents have very little trust in the police.
We are not happy about the police. I think they need to be, to be fired. They don't do anything, really. They don't do any, enough safety for us. We are not happy at all.
And so men started patrolling the area. Some carry golf clubs, tasers, batons and whips for added protection, all in the hope of making the neighborhood a little safer for residents.
And we will keep going around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. The campaign team that wants to get Donald Trump 4 more years in the White House has forked out as much as $2 million on Facebook ads in the past week. They're all about his imminent impeachment for trying to get the government of Ukraine to interfere in the upcoming election in exchange for $400 million in aid. And the US government is looking to improve its cybersecurity measures for airlines. There is a fear that a jet could be hacked, maybe by terrorists. Now, hacking of airlines has until now been about IT systems. The US military warns that in the future, bad actors could try to hack the actual plane. Now, you may have been told by your doctor, partner, or parents to not eat so much red and processed meat, as it's meant to increase the risk of bowel cancer. Now, a new study of the study that came to that finding says those original findings were not to be trusted. They say that the health benefits of cutting down on red and processed meats are small. So now you know. But one reason to cut down on red meat is environmental. The meat industry is very damaging to the planet. And this is an iceberg that weighs 315 billion tons and is 210 meters thick. It spans more than 1,500 square kilometers. It broke off the Avery ice shelf in Antarctica recently, the biggest one to do so in 50 years. But it has been boringly called D28, and it will be monitored as it could eventually cause a problem to shipping lanes. And now for something that illustrates how news stories spread on social media, which aren't always what they seem. Last week, a story went around the world which upset many people. A young black girl said some white boys had cut her hair. It turns out she was lying.
Last week, 12-year-old Amari Allen described in detail how 3 white boys allegedly attacked her and cut off her dreadlocks at school.
Boys came up to me and they ambushed me, sort of, caged me in. And so they put their hands over my mouth, they put my hands behind my back, and they started cutting my hair and saying that it was ugly.
Now, Amari says none of it was true. The story drew global attention and widespread condemnation. It's not clear why Amari decided to make up her story, but her family put out this statement asking the community for forgiveness.
To the broader community who rallied in such passionate support for our daughter, we apologize for betraying your trust. We understand there will be consequences and we're prepared to take responsibility for them. We know it will take time to heal, and we hope and pray that the boys, their families, the school and the broader community will be able to forgive us in time.
She attends the private Emmanuel Christian School in Virginia, which costs $12,000 a year in tuition fees. The school said they were relieved to hear the truth, but felt tremendous pain for the victims and the hurt on both sides of this conflict. There has been mixed reaction to Amari's mea culpa. One tweeter said, "Shame on her. This false allegation is really unfortunate for the Black community, who are often victims of bullying." Another tweeter said,
"The media should not punish this girl with criticism. She is still a child and does not have fully developed capacity to make adult judgments. Mistakes happen. Learning and growing from the experience is the important part for her future."
Some fear that this incident might distract from real cases where Black people have faced discrimination because of their hair.
And last up today, our favourite Big Bear competition is underway for another season. It's a search for the mammal with the most, the big un with the big appetite, the bear with the necessities necessary to win Fat Bear Week 2019. Now, if you don't know, get to know. The Yosemite National Park in the US puts on a competition for its grizzlies to see which one can put on the most weight in a week. You can follow the proceedings at the park's Facebook page and can like photos of your favourite fatty, which then translates into a vote. Now, this year, the ones to watch are 2 dudes called Chunk and 747, both excellent names. We wish all the hairy competitors luck, and we'll report back on the winner on October the 8th. And that will do from the Newsfeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel and you can follow me on Twitter. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.